You cannot talk about history without speaking of dynasties. They allow us to compartmentalize a time in which an era was under the rule of a reigning family. And so often with that, there's a lot of unity, but at the same time, when there is a dynasty, there's always someone on the outside looking in, an ambitious rival who wants to conquer that reign. That is just as important for allowing us to understand that framework of civilization. Welcome back to State of the Association. I'm your host, Nash Roberts, and today we're talking about the Buffalo Bills on the outside looking in of the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty. And to begin, we have to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a team that was the first team in NFL history to even put themselves in position to win 3 straight Super Bowls. Under Andy Reid and under Patrick Mahomes, they've already won 3, and they had just won 2 straight. And with that, no other team has won 2 straight and made the Super Bowl afterwards. The Chiefs became the first team to do that, and ultimately they would lose to the Eagles. But for so long now, the Chiefs have been so dominant to a level that is hardly ever seen. They get compared especially to the Tom Brady-led New England Patriots, which were at the time an unprecedented level of success. And that has only continued for the Chiefs. But this Super Bowl loss and the one they had a couple years ago, losing to the Buccaneers, displayed some weaknesses in the Chiefs and a little bit of an Achilles heel for them. Because when you game plan against the Kansas City Chiefs, you want to stop the pass. And often what you might think about that is to make the quarterback uncomfortable. But as we have seen so many times in the past, if you full out blitz Patrick Mahomes, if he is able to improvise and get out of the pocket, he's going to find his man downfield more times than not. But what the Eagles did with their pass rush was that they were able to make Mahomes uncomfortable by forcing pressure without blitzing. They never blitzed once in the Super Bowl, but they were pressuring Patrick Mahomes plenty of times. And ultimately led to not just a loss, but an ugly loss. And so with that, the Eagles kind of set a blueprint that we may have forgotten about from the Tampa game, and that is that there's an Achilles heel for the Chiefs dynasty. As dominant as they are not truly unstoppable if you have the tools to get there. And for years now, ever since Patrick Mahomes came onto the scene, throwing for 50 touchdowns in his first year starting, the Chiefs have been at the top of contention. And the thing that really defines it for them is their postseason success. No matter how they do in the regular season, no matter how many close calls they have, no matter how many games they might lose even to teams that they have no business losing to, come playoff time, they take their game to a whole new level. And there is a blueprint laid out now to beat them. However, you still have to execute. And in comes the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Chiefs, when all their starters played, they only lost 1 game this regular season, and that came to Buffalo. And anyone looking to overthrow a dynasty needs a great and courageous and ambitious leader. And this was a game that really set the tone for the Josh Allen MVP season. This was a team that could have been in a little bit of a reset year with the loss of Stephon Diggs and some key veterans. When you've got a top-level quarterback, you want a top-level wide receiver for him to throw the ball to. But with the loss of Diggs, it looked like they were going to be missing that a little bit. Now, up to this point, everyone sees the potential in the talent of Josh Allen, but there are question marks about his turnover prone and his mistakes that he makes. But this season, he was more stable and safe and efficient than he has ever been, and it led to an MVP-level season from him. A good leader knows how to adapt, knows how to change in the face of adversity, and that's precisely what Josh Allen did. And they were the only team to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, playing all starters in the regular season. And come the regular season, it seems like often Josh Allen and the Bills, they have an answer for the Chiefs, but they struggle in the postseason. And regular season wins, they're nice. They can get people excited, but at the end of the day, you need to show your results on the biggest stage. And up to this point, the Bills have not done that. But the Eagles laid the blueprint, and now it is time for someone else to step in and execute on a level that has never been seen before, and that is in the AFC. and the Buffalo Bills are in perfect position to do so. It's going to be a lot of work to overthrow a dynasty like the Kansas City Chiefs, but if anyone's going to do it in the AFC, it's the Buffalo Bills. They have a top 3 quarterback in the entire NFL, and that was without having a true number 1 wide receiver this year. They have a solid defense when their secondary is healthy, but if they're going to overthrow the Chiefs, they need to focus on their pass rush. You take a look at what the Buccaneers did a few years back or what the Eagles did in this past Super Bowl. They won not from all-out blitzing, but from having great pass rushers on the D-line that are able to get at the quarterback and make Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable. As mentioned earlier, if you blitz him full, he's going to find his man if he's able to get open and improvise. But if you can keep him uncomfortable whilst maintaining your secondary, you can get to the Chiefs. It's their Achilles heel. And if the Bills are able to bolster their pass rush, they have a great chance to take over that AFC crown from the Chiefs, who have held it for so long now. So now we've established the point of attack if you're the Buffalo Bills. But what is the legacy of this team playing in the midst of a dynasty when they are not that dynasty, in fact? What is the legacy of a team led by one of the best quarterbacks of our generation that is so close but yet so far because they're playing against one of the best teams during the best stretches of all time? And we'll begin here. If they are able to topple the Kansas City Chiefs someday, they are going to be remembered in the history books as winners. People will remember the champions and also the manner in which they won. And especially being an outlier champion and a reign of dominance from the Chiefs, that's going to be particularly notable. Now, if you do want to draw parallels to the Tom Brady-led Patriots dynasty, they had a wide gap in between where Brady didn't win a Super Bowl. They won 6 in total, but it was really a stretch of 3 and then another stretch of 3 later in Brady's career. So if you go by that standard, this could be the lull that the Chiefs might be in. Now that the blueprint has been established, they're going to have to adapt themselves and develop to be able to answer. And they're as vulnerable as they have ever been. While still being a great team, they are far from unbeatable. And that leaves the Bills with a perfect opportunity to execute and get a better pass rush and get to Patrick Mahomes and dismantle this Chiefs dynasty. And if they are to do that, and if they are to be remembered as champions, then they don't just go down in the history books as a champion, but they go down in the history books as an all-time great team. Particularly because of the fact that we are in the midst of the Chiefs' reign. You take a look at the Eagles, they're arguing that this Philadelphia team is the best that the Eagles have ever seen. There's never been a better Eagles team than this, is what many pundits are saying. And that's very reasonable. They blew out the Chiefs, and they were hardly ever down in the playoffs. Their legacy is even greater than if they won in a time where there was a lot of parity. Their legacy is even greater because of the lack of that parity. We haven't seen that many different winners in recent years. So for the Philadelphia Eagles to step out, walk out of the fire on the other end unscathed, the 2024-25 Philadelphia Eagles will no doubt go down in NFL history as an all-time great team. And if the Buffalo Bills are able to do the same and stop the Chiefs on another level from even making the Super Bowl at this point, and then the Bills go on to become world champions themselves, that catapults them into an entirely different conversation. Because it's one thing for Tampa or for Philadelphia to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but it's a completely different thing entirely to stop the Chiefs from getting there. We saw the Bengals do it, and that put Joe Burrow into conversations of being the Chiefs stopper, one of the best quarterbacks in the world. And aside from the one Bengals year, for the most part, it has been the Chiefs in the Super Bowl year after year. So if you're able to stop the Kansas City Chiefs from even making it there by beating them in the AFC Championship, then you're going to be well remembered. You're going to be even better remembered if you go out there and win a Super Bowl. This Bills team under Josh Allen in the Sean McDermott era is great on their own, but they really need a ring to catapult themselves to the next level and for us to really acknowledge just how great this team is. And if they can topple a dynasty for even just 1 or 2 years, they will go down in history as an all-time great team and Josh Allen as an all-time great quarterback at this trajectory. But then we get to our current timeline. What is this team like if they don't topple the Chiefs? And the answer is a lot more nuanced because it's still just projecting right now. That is the position that we are currently in. One where we don't really know how to define this Josh Allen Bills era because it's not over yet. Because we all acknowledge the talent and the elite quarterback that Josh Allen is. But without being able to go over the top yet, we don't necessarily know how to define it all time. And at this rate, if Josh Allen keeps performing at an elite level without ever winning a ring, I think the most obvious comparison here is, of course, Dan Marino. Widely regarded as the best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. And you take a look at the circumstances with something like that, it's really unfortunate, especially for a quarterback. A wide receiver or running back, they can get by and be an all-time great, one of the best of all time, without winning a championship. But a quarterback is seen as the leader of their team. And if you don't win at the highest level, that is seen as a little bit of a reflection of you. And that especially happens as time goes on because in the moment we can acknowledge that, the Bills losing is not coming down to Josh Allen and his play. But as history goes on and we become further and further removed from this timeline, people aren't going to remember the manner in which the Chiefs won and the Bills lost. They're just going to remember the result. So if you're the Buffalo Bills, it is crucial that you capitalize on this window when the dynasty is a little bit in a resting position. When the Chiefs look as vulnerable as they ever have, following the timeline of the Patriots, this could be the couple gap years where some teams in between go out there and win a ring. If you're the Buffalo Bills, you want to capitalize on the opportunity. You've got the blueprint to topple the Chiefs, but can you do it? Can you execute and take down this dynasty and set yourselves apart and define a legacy for yourself as not just an all-time great talent in a fun and exciting team that never got over the top, but one that goes down in history as world champions? Do you topple the dynasty led by a quarterback who just wants to conquer and wants to define a legacy for himself? The Bills are in great position to do so. And when we look back on this era of the NFL, it's going to be the Chiefs first. They set the framework of civilization and the style of play in this current era of the NFL. Everything is designed to stop the Chiefs. If you're looking at this from the perspective of an opposing team, that is the biggest threat that you want to take down. And the Bills are able to do so. They set a legacy for themselves as an all-time great team led by their franchise cornerstone, their franchise quarterback, Josh Allen. And they attack the Achilles heel of this dynasty and become something greater. It has been a lot of highs and lows for Buffalo Bills, a lot of question marks about them, if they can do it at the highest level. But if they can, there's no doubt about it that this team and this quarterback in particular will go down in history as one of the best to ever do it. And that is all for today's episode of State of the Association. I'm your host, Nash Roberts. Thank you very much for listening.